Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and welcome back to Fanfics. Time to do the review of Pokemon Universe, episode 15, Sora to the Skies, a battle in mid-air. I really am proud of this episode. This was one of the episodes that made me really confirm whether or not I should keep going with the series or not, and I definitely got to say this was, after making this episode, I stopped and was like, yeah, I'm going to keep this series going. It's definitely going the right path. I had a lot of fun making it, and a lot of stuff happened. It's definitely, typing-wise, this was one of the longer episodes, but I wind up making longer episodes later in the future. But this was one of the most longer episodes in terms of dialogue, mostly, because that's what makes an episode long sometimes for me, is the dialogue that I've got to type. Because sometimes, like, a lot can happen, but barely any dialogue happens between it. But this episode, oh my god, I had so much fun making it. The episode begins, our heroes finally make it to Alden Town, and Anne and Trent are so excited that they're there. Anne's excited because she wants to get the chance to go to the fabric shop in order to buy a bunch of fabrics and, make a lot of clothes. Trent's excited to make it to Alden Town because he can finally challenge the gym leader. They both rush to try to go do their respective goals, and Luna holds them down and is like, hold on a second, guys. We are going to go get something to eat. We've been traveling all day. It's been so long since we've actually had a decent bite to eat. So they actually all wind up in a restaurant. So while they're eating, they all ask Trent, hey, which Pokemon do you think you should use? And they were asking, I wonder what type the gym leader uses, since Flo used water types. Trent doesn't really care. He just wants to go in and fight the gym leader. He's being a little impatient about it. But then things get interesting when someone rushes into the restaurant and states that this guy is going to do a cool little stunt again. Everybody gets curious as to what the guy is talking about, and a lot of the people run out of the restaurant. Well, the people that are in Alden Town already know, so they rush out of the restaurant in anticipation. Trent, Luna, Coda, and Anne go out of the restaurant in confusion, wondering exactly what the guy was talking about. They look up in the sky and they see like a helicopter. And when they see a helicopter, there's a guy standing near the doorway of the helicopter, and he looks like he's about to jump, and he's wearing a flyer suit, much similar to the flyer suits in X and Y. So it looks like he's about to jump, and then once he finally does jump, he flies all over using the wind. He glides and flies all over Alden Town like a bird. And a lot of the girls in Alden Town all go like goo goo gaga over him because, he's really handsome and he's a chick magnet. So Luna and Anne are confused exactly who he is, and the girls basically say, hey, this is Sora. Sora is a flyer. He flies all over Alden Town, and he's just the best guy ever because he's so handsome. So all of these girls are hoping that Sora flies to their direction and winks at them and shows them affection, lands near them. Sora notices Luna and Anne first and lands by them and shakes their hand to greet them so he can greet both of them into Alden Town. The other ladies get super jealous and run at Anne and Luna as a crowd and try to rip them apart. Luna doesn't really care for Sora because of his cocky, I can get all the chicks attitude, and Anne is just sort of confused by the whole thing. Trent then is him and Coda are being smushed in the crowd of females that rushed over to see Luna and Anne, so they're not even available for some time. Then all of a sudden an old man shows up and he's like, hey man, hey Sora, what are you doing? You're supposed to be back at the gym. You're my grandson, and you're also the new gym leader for Alden Town, and you need to get your job straight. Trent overhears this and pushes the ladies out the way to challenge Sora to a battle. And before Sora even has the chance to answer, all the girls crush him under the weight and crowd back on him. And it's funny, even this old lady starts flirting with Sora. And the younger girls call the old lady out on having a husband. And she's just like, shut up. He needs a man with experience. And it's funny. So then the old man that was behind Sora's grandpa, is like, hey, you're a gym leader. Accept that kid's challenge and go to the gym. So he's like, so Sora finally just is like, okay, fine, I'll agree to your challenge. So Sora tells the other girls that he has to leave so he can go to the gym. The girls get upset and they all depart. And then Sora heads to the gym. Trent then gets up after being trampled by that crowd of ladies and is super amped to finally get his chance to battle against the gym leader and rushes after Sora in order to challenge him. Anne and Luna feel that this will be a little bit interesting to watch, so they follow Trent in order to see the battle. Coda is still crushed under the ladies, like he's still on the floor from the trample, and a Pidove comes in and starts pecking at his head, and it's funny. So then they fly off, and we cut to the next area where they meet Sora at his house. And Sora didn't know that they were following him this whole time, and he's like, oh, I gotta change first, then we can go ahead and do this battle. So he goes ahead and invites them into his house, and we see that Sora's grandparents are there. And his grandpa is a bit pissed at Sora about how he is neglecting his duties as gym leader and is treating it more like a game instead of serious business. And his grandmother's on the opposite side. His grandmother's so proud of him for growing into such a young, handsome boy, and she just wants what's best for him, and she even tries to make the whole situation lighthearted. They contrast each other so that they can argue, but they're still a really cute couple, and Anne just sort of teases Luna and Trent about how they argue because it's similar. So when Sora comes out with regular clothes this time, he's like, all right, let's go ahead and get this battle started. Sora's grandpa tells him he needs to take his job as gym leader more seriously, and Sora's grandmother compliments him and changes Sora's grandpa's words to make it sound like he was proud of him too, and it's funny, he gets mad. So after that, Sora decides to leave his house so that they can head to the gym. When they leave out, Sora presses a button, and they're like, hey, aren't we supposed to be going to the gym? He basically states that the gym is coming to them. They then see a giant blimp come in and land near them. They hop aboard the blimp. And when they hop aboard the blimp, they end up going to the very top of the blimp, like the very top. They're not inside the blimp, they're on top of the blimp. And on top of the blimp, we see this giant stadium. So it's this big, huge stadium on top of the blimp. And if you think that's crazy, Sora actually presses the button so the blimp can actually take off into the air. So now Trent, Luna, Coda, and Sora, and Sora's grandpa, because Sora's grandpa said he wants to come with them because he wants to be the referee for this gym. They end up they are in midair now. So they're all in midair on this blimp. Coda passes out. Trent is like, whoa, this is really weird, but whatever, let's battle. And Luna says this is the most innovative gym since they've been to Flo's gym. So yeah, they're in mid-freaking air. Also, Sora presses another button to make sure a bunch of cameras can go check them out while the battle's going to take place. And everybody in Alden Town can turn to a specific channel to watch the battle while it's happening. Sora's grandpa's a little bit pissed by this because he says that it's too flashy and it needs to just be a simple gym, and he gets pissed off about it. And Sora basically tells him to relax, and Sora, he even gets mad at him for calling him grandpa. He says, in this battle, you'll call me strictly ref. So yeah, he's very strict. So anyway, when he tells both Trent and Sora to set up and get ready for battle, Trent gets his Pokemon ready, and Luna reminds him, hey, look, we're in the sky. That gives you a little bit of a clue as to what type of Pokemon he probably uses. So because of this, Trent starts off using Pichu, and Sora starts off using Fletchling. So Trent has actually used his brain this time. He knows that Sora is using flying-type Pokemon, so he's using Pichu in order to counteract the flying-type. And Luna even calls Sora out on this and saying Sora's actually pretty smart because Fletchling is a flying-type, however, it does learn fire-type moves to counteract this ice-type weakness. So Sora's grandpa actually overhears Luna's conversation with Anne and Coda, and it takes this into account when the battle's taking place. When the battle starts, Fletchling goes in and attacks Pikachu with the Swift Steel Flame Charge attack. Pichu gets hit the first time, but then Pichu ends up using Thunder Shock to counter. Meanwhile, Fletchling winds up using Double Team in order to counter off against Pichu. Trent tells Pichu to use Thunder Shock, and the Thunder Shock blasts away at one of the illusions. Unfortunately, that gave Fletchling just enough time to charge up the Razor Wind and attack Pichu. Pichu gets hit, and then Trent tells Pichu to use Thunder Wave on the crowd of Fletchlings as they do the exact same combo with Double Team. Then, while he's doing that, he sees that he's about to use Thunder Shock on Fletchling again. They use Double Team, but then Pichu stops. Trent tells Pichu to stop and attacks the Fletchling that's charging, since the other Fletchlings are obviously just illusions. So they end up hitting Fletchling, and Fletchling falls, but Fletchling doesn't get knocked out. It ends up getting up really fast and using Flame Charge, hitting Pichu and knocking Pichu out. So Trent's already lost his first Pokemon. Also, the rules of this gym battle, Sora is using 3 Pokemon, Trent is using 3 Pokemon. So yeah, there's the rules. So then after that, Trent goes ahead and returns Pichu because he's down 1 Pokemon now, so that's a bad start. But Fletchling's taking quite a bit of damage from that Thunder Shot. Trent then ends up using Eevee. When Eevee comes out, Fletchling ends up going in and trying to use Double Team again. Trent uses Swift because the Swift can't miss, so it bypasses that. Then Sora tries to outspeed by using Steel Wing combined with Flame Charge. Then Trent tells Eevee to use Baby Doll Eyes to lower its attack power just enough so that Eevee can hold its attack off. Eevee takes the attack head on, and when he takes the attack head on, Trent tells Eevee to use a close-up Swift attack. It hits Fletchling, and Fletchling is down for the count. So they're both down 1 Pokemon. Sora then ends up using Drift Blimp. Or not Drift Blimp, Drifloon, the Devolve form one. Drifloon comes out, Trent returns Eevee because there's no point in keeping Eevee out because Eevee's a normal type and Drifloon is a ghost type, so the two will cancel each other out. So instead he ends up using Hoot Hoot. And he goes in and they fight in midair, and obviously Hoot Hoot's attack, he's starting off with Peck, and Drifloon ends up escaping that and using Astonish. And then he realizes that not a lot of his attacks are going to go in as well as he wants them to, so instead Trent winds up using Hoot Hoot's Foresight attack. And when he uses Foresight, this makes Drifloon a lot easier to keep track of. And when he does this, it catches him a little off guard, and Trent ends up finally having Hoot Hoot finish things up with a Confusion and then a Peck attack and knocking Drifloon out. Sora's grandpa kind of scalds Sora for letting the Foresight throw him off too much. So then afterwards, Sora finally goes in and uses his strongest Pokemon, which is Staravia. So now Sora is using Staravia. Trent returns Hoot Hoot and uses Eevee again. At this point, Staravia goes in, and Staravia knows 2 attacks that are very special. First off, Staravia knows Detect. When Trent tries to have Eevee use Quick Attack, Staravia ends up using Detect and dodges it. Then he uses Swift. The Detect even allows him to stop that. Then after that, he also knows Mirror Move. So Luna states that this is a really good combo. She states that Staravia can not only predict which attacks are going to happen, it can also manipulate those attacks and use them right back at his Pokemon. So yeah, that gives Staravia a little bit of an advantage in this battle, because not only are they able to predict what moves are being used against them to counter the move, they can also bring it right back at the opponent. Sora's grandpa then finally looks at the battle and goes, whoa, my grandson's actually a lot stronger and more impressive than I thought if he was able to think up a combo like that. Maybe he is actually taking this gym leading thing seriously. So after that tussle, Eevee takes a lot of damage, and because of this, it finally gets knocked out with Steel Wing and Aerial Ace, because Aerial Ace can't miss. Eevee's knocked out. So now all Trent has is his Hoot Hoot. So Trent throws out Hoot Hoot, and when Trent throws out Hoot Hoot, the same thing basically happens. Hoot Hoot tries to attack with Confusion, but Confusion gets stopped thanks to Detect, and then it ends up using Mirror Move so that it can use Confusion, and Hoot Hoot gets hit. So Trent is actually trying to find a way past the Detect, because the Detect is making things a lot more difficult for Trent. Then Trent finally thinks up a strategy. Trent tells Hoot to use confusion again. They use detect again, stop it, then use mirror move, then hit Hoot with the confusion. Hoot then ends up becoming confused by getting hit with confusion. After that, Trent then tells Hoot to use Pack. And at first, when Staravia uses detect, and I did the same way they did it in Best Wishes, where when Riolu used detect, it was able to see the future of what happened, rewind it all, and then do it back over again. That happens. Unfortunately, like for Staravia, this ends up happening. Hoot's Peck attack misses. However, since it's confused, Hoot's moving in a dizzy fashion. So that first attack did miss, but Hoot did a weird curve in midair and hits Staravia with a peck from behind. Because Hoot's confused, a lot of its attacks are kind of unpredictable. Moves that look like they actually did miss are actually hitting from different angles now. Thankfully, Hoot didn't attack itself, so it was able to work that out pretty well. So yeah, they temporarily found a way to get around that detect. But then Staravia doesn't play any more games and ends up using Aerial Ace and Steel Wing and knocks Hoot down. So at this point, things are looking pretty bad for Hoot. Hoot's injured, and it's about to get hit with one more Steel Wing attack. Finally, Hoot gets up after taking so much damage and evolves into Noctowl. And this is where things get really cool, because I was like, if this series ever had like a theme song, an opening theme song or whatever, this would be the time to play it. So after Hoot evolves, Trent actually sees that Hoot's learned a new attack. It's now Noctowl, and he also learns a new attack. Trent tells Noctowl to use Future Sight. Now, yes, I know Noctowl isn't able to use Future Sight. I know that already. But there's a reason that I had this happen, and it's explained later in the series. Anyway, Noctowl ends up using Future Sight. Trent doesn't see it do anything, so he's like, whatever, that move was useless. We'll just keep fighting with what we got. Noctowl thankfully was able to take the last Steel Wing attack with a lot of damage because it evolved, which means the defenses went up a bit. However, Staravia comes in and tries to attack again. Noctowl ends up attacking with a confusion until it tries to attack with Peck attack, and they end up using detect. What Trent decides to do is have Noctowl use Peck on the ground, not on Staravia. So the detect kind of fails because Trent and Noctowl were never aiming for Staravia. They dodge Staravia. Why did they do this? So Trent can tell Noctowl to use confusion. Noctowl closes his eyes and uses confusion, and the confusion works on Staravia. What they've basically done is that the Peck attack was just a ploy. It was just something that they knew that they would use detect on so that it would miss. Then Trent told Noctowl to use confusion because with confusion, Noctowl doesn't need to see its opponent. It just needs to feel it out. So Staravia gets caught in the confusion and gets slammed down. And then after that, Sora basically is like, alright, well, you found a way past my detect combo. However, we're still faster and stronger, so they decide to go ahead and use Aerial Ace and Steel Wing to finish things up. Trent has no choice at this point but to use Peck attack at full force, and while this is happening, everybody in Alden Town is watching TV, just cheering on Trent and Sora, and they're just like, go, go, go. And Sora's grandpa is hearing all this cheering and is like, wow, this is a really good gym battle. Maybe I misjudged my grandson and this kid Trent. They're really going at it right now. So it's getting all hyped and amped, and then Trent, since he had no other options, he just tells Noctowl to use a full force Peck attack. He's like, hey, if I'm going down, we're gonna go down fighting. So Noctowl's charging with Peck with everything he's got. Staravia's charging with Steel Wing and Aerial Ace, and they're charging towards each other. And then all of a sudden, Staravia's body starts to glow purple. Staravia ends up getting hit really hard and stops in mid-attack, making him wide open. What was it? The Future Sight from earlier in the battle. Staravia's wide open. There's a wide open range. Trent tells Noctowl to go forward, and then Noctowl hits Staravia, triple take 3 times with the Peck attack right in the center. Staravia gets hit, and boom, Staravia is knocked out. Trent wins the battle, he wins the gym battle, and Sora presents him with the Cloud badge once they land the blimp afterwards. Everybody's cheering on Trent and Sora for a really, really nice fight. It was a really great battle, and then Sora's grandpa comes up to Sora, and Sora apologizes and states that he should take his job as gym leader more seriously because the battle that he had with Trent helped him learn that he should become a more serious gym leader. However, Sora's grandpa apologizes for judging the way he runs his gym. Sora runs the gym now and not his grandpa, so he needs to learn to accept the way he runs his gym because his Pokemon will respect Sora's decisions, and because of that, they will grow stronger, and the battle that he had with Trent helped him learn that. Sora's grandma starts crying that the two are finally getting along and it's really nice and cozy, and everyone congratulates Trent. Trent holds his gym badge up in the air, and the episode ends. I gotta say, I had a lot of fun making this episode. I'm really glad I was even able to fit that subplot of Sora and his grandpa finally coming into amends of how they're going to run the Alden City Gym. I love the way everything came into full circle. I love the battle between Noctowl and Staravia. That's probably the highlight moment. Yeah, I kind of made Pichu lose really fast, but I wanted to take out the stereotype that it was just going to be an electric type ruling over this. Plus, Pichu already had its time in the spotlight fighting off against Flo's Lumineon. So I felt it was Noctowl's turn to receive a lot of character development, and this was a really good way to show it off. It was great. So I loved this episode all around. I enjoyed making it. It was very fun to make. I never regret this episode. It's one of my favorites, actually, in terms of writing. So, yeah. The next episode is episode 16, Rivals Unite, Pokemon Battle Tournament, Part 1. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the Guy 3, out.